As mentioned, you should have different colors and you should have these notes written down before you begin this video. So we are going to get into some new stuff today. As you could tell based on the warm-up, we're going to be using standard form. So we had to refresh what y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. We need to familiarize ourselves with that equation. This is known as the quadratic. Why is it a quadratic? Because it has an exponent of 2. Where do we get the a, b, and c from? Those are going to be the coefficients. Now, if you ever see this equation, it's always going to make, when you graph it, this type of shape. It's a U shape. It could either be facing up, like we know as happy, or sad going down. Now, we already know that if it's going up, it's a positive a value, and if it's going down, it's a negative a value. What's cool about these parabolas, is what they're called, is that if you drew a line directly down the middle, it would be symmetric. Now, hopefully you know what symmetric is. If not, you could totally pause the video and Google it. But symmetric means if you were to take this piece of paper and fold it over, the sides would measure up. So think of another shape that's symmetric. Circle, heart, triangle. Those are all symmetric because if you draw a line down the middle, they're going to be even on both sides. So this brings me to what an axis of symmetry is. Axis of symmetry. We abbreviate that as AOS. Hence the A in axis, O in of, and S in symmetry. So in order to find that vertical line that cuts the parabola down the middle, you need to have this formula memorized. It is x equals negative b over 2a. This is super, super, super important. The axis of symmetry is part of something called a vertex. A vertex is either your minimum point or your maximum point. If it's a minimum, that means it's the lowest point. If it's a maximum, it's going to be the highest point. So that's going to be based on if the parabola is happy or if it is sad. So, like I said, that point is called the vertex. So I like to say it's kind of like where the two lines meet. It's that center point. So I like to write the word center so I know what the word vertex is, center. So it's the point. This point is called the vertex, and it's the axis of symmetry, and it's written as the letters H, K. So why would we not write the letters X and Y anymore? Well, because if we go back to our original problem, we already have X and Y in them. We can't use the same letters again, then you guys are going to get confused on what all those letters mean. So we pick new letters here, and the vertex is known as HK. Now, how do we get H and K? You get H by using this formula right here, x equals negative b over 2a. Once you have that, it's easy. You're going to take that and plug it into your original equation to get your k value. That's what this means right here. So to find the vertex, you do negative b over 2a. That's going to give you your h value, also known as your x value. And then to get your k value, you're just going to plug that bad boy in to the equation that they gave you. And that gives you your coordinate or your center point, which is also called your vertex. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to practice finding them. So you should already have the 6 examples written out. So we're going to find the AOS and the vertex. Again, the AOS is the axis of symmetry. Now, the axis of symmetry and the vertex are always going to have the same number in it. So if you have 2 different numbers, you're wrong. That's your easy check. So the first thing you want to do is you always want to label your A, your B, and your C. Just like we did in the warm-up. That's why we did that. So my A is in front of the x squared, my B is in front of the x, and my C is just that number to the outside. So A is 1, B is negative 6, and C is 4. Now we need to use our formula. So write x equals negative b over 2a. Since I'm using a highlighter, you should have a highlighter or a different color pen that you're highlighting. Highlight that formula. X equals negative b over 2a. So there's already a negative there. So we have to keep that negative to the outside, and we're going to put negative 6 in for b. all over 2 times a, which is 1. Now it's simple. 2 negatives when you multiply make a what? Positive. So I have 6 over 2, which equals 3. So my AOS is x equals 3. That's part 1 to my answer. But I need to find the vertex, which is h comma k. I only found the h part. So what am I going to do with this 3? Plug it back in. So we've got y equals, wherever you see an x, you're going to plug in a 3. Okay, so I plugged in my 3 for x. So 3 squared is 9. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18 plus 4. Here we go again with our order of operations. Left to right. 9 minus 18, negative 9, plus 4 is negative 5. So there we go. My final answer is x equals 3 for my axis of symmetry, and my vertex is 3 comma negative 5. So that would mean 3 negative 5 would be that centermost point right here when I graph it. How did I know to graph it happy? Because my a value is positive. Moving on to B. Label your A, B, and C to start. My A is negative 6. What's going on with my B? I don't have one. And my C is 3. So if I don't have one, what kind of number does that represent? 0. Write my formula down. Highlight my formula so I memorize it, because I know how you guys are. So what do we put in the B spot? 0 over 2 times negative 6. All right, now this really shouldn't take long. 0 divided by anything is 0. So my AOS is at x equals 0. Now I need to find my vertex. So I've got the first part, h. I need to find the k, so plug it back in. Plugging it in for x. 0 squared is 0. 0 times 6 is 0. Easy peasy. What's 0 plus 3? There we go. Final answer. X equals 0 and 0 comma 3. Okay, if you think you're good, go ahead and pause the video and do C. If not, here we go. Label A, B, and C. A is 1, B is negative 6, C is 5. Notice these have all been in standard form. What do I mean by standard form? It means the x squared comes first, then the x and the plain number. That's not always going to be the case, so be careful. Now I write my formula. Now I highlight. Now I plug in. Must put that negative on the outside. Negative